What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Compile Swift podcast slash live stream slash video slash whatever it is, however you're consuming this. Yep, WWDC23 is here. I am here with my good friend Leo Dion from the Empower Apps Show. We're going to dive into the Keynote here, and then later on we're going to switch it up and we're going to switch over to Leo's stream, and we are going to be talking about State of the Union. Hello, Leo. How you doing, my friend?
Good. Exhausted.
It's been a day, hasn't it? Isn't it funny how even when we know it's like it's going to be a day, it's always a surprise when it's like, whew, that was a lot harder than I thought.
This was more than what I expected. Like it was a lot. So we kind of knew the rumor about the glasses, right?
Yep. Yeah, we knew that was coming.
There's a lot,
right?
There's a lot on top of that. It's like the joke. Like, there's no way they're going to announce a Mac Pro at the event they do Apple glasses.
Right. That's where I was going to go with that too. Yeah.
It's like, what the heck? Yeah. So, anyways,
it's kind of one of those where you're like, Apple, it's okay. You can have other events during the year if you want.
Right.
Because
right.
I don't know about you, but I was worried. Right. We knew there would be some kind of headset / hardware something announced, right? And so I was like, well, they're going to want to focus on that, so they'll shuffle any other hardware things off to some other time, right? Turned out not to be the case, but it's kind of interesting. Let's get into this, right? So first of all, 15-inch MacBook Air. Now, as anyone who's been following me for a while knows, I consider my MacBook Air that I had years ago still my ultimate favorite laptop of all time. But here we are now with a 15-inch. How old is it? Mine was the second generation, so however old that is now.
Okay. Okay.
It was the one that still had I'm going to call it the classic wedge, right? The way it should look.
Yeah.
And that thing, I mean, I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. But here we are now with a 15-inch MacBook Air that I think, to me, still looks more like a MacBook Pro because of no wedge. But what do you think? There was speculation, but what's your take on it?
I think I might get one.
I was kind of leaning that way too.
So I like my MacBook Air. It's awesome. But if this feels like not that much bigger, but is a bigger display, I've been debating getting a new, I'd like to get an iPad, a bigger screen to iPad, bigger than the 12.9.
Yep.
And I'm like, why wait forever for that and have to deal with iPad OS when I could just get a bigger MacBook Air that's light and has a huge screen on it?
Yeah.
And it has a keyboard built in and and has Mac OS. So it's I think I might do it. I think I might trade in the MacBook Air 2020 for a MacBook Air 15-inch 2023.
I mean, it is the package, right? It's one of those where, it's all there. As you know, and as I've mentioned to folks before, I have the M1 Max 14-inch MacBook Pro, and absolutely love this thing. I mean, it's not going to run out of power anytime soon. The form factor is still perfect. Now that I've got a Thunderbolt 4 dock, I just plug in, it's charging, everything's connected, unplug it, away I go. It is perfect. If I was to change it, originally before today, it would have been maybe a 15-inch or something down the road. But now, I'm with you on this. It's like, okay, why would I not do the 15-inch MacBook Air, right?
Right, right. You don't save that much money by going with the M1. I mean, they dropped the price on the M2 too. And honestly, if you're a developer and you're not doing anything super intensive, a MacBook Air is totally enough to get started with development. I mean, a Mac Mini is too.
Absolutely.
I do video editing, obviously, and some other stuff, but I have the Mac Studio to fall back on, but to have a MacBook Air is just going to be a 15-inch. It's going to be so nice to have all that screen real estate. I'm spoiled here with my 32-inch over here, So, of course, we don't need monitors anymore. That, as we'll talk about later, but
don't need them. Yep. Throw away those big TVs.
that-
Don't eat those. Yeah.
So if you're gonna ask me, am I gonna spend any money after watching this? Probably like that. Honestly, might be the thing I'm gonna get for is just upgrade my MacBook Air.
So you would still do that over. Let's move on to the next one. Over, say, the Mac Studio with the M2 chip.
I want to point something out.
Okay.
Throughout the Mac presentation, we were taught about how much faster the M2 is compared to other Intel-based Mac PCs, and I'm just like, yeah. So what? What's the difference between that and the M1? Like, they're not going to tell you because it's probably like maybe 10%, 15% at most. So, like, I'm definitely not in the market for a new Mac Studio. I love my Mac Studio. It's great to see that they keep making it. There was rumors they're going to end it, and nope, that's not the case. Hopefully they fix the fan noise, which is an issue for you right now.
Yeah.
But
let me check here though, because I made a note somewhere. Okay, yeah, I've got the note right here, so I can give you the number that they gave us. The Mac Studio update, M2 Max is 25% faster than the M1.
that's not bad.
No, right? But you're gonna. It's Apple, right? They're gonna quote the Intel so that it sounds an awful lot more, right? And maybe to stick it to Intel just a little bit, right? You know,
Right. Speaking
so
of which, hold on
there's
just a
that.
second. I gotta do one thing. Forgot to turn off my external drives. Anyway, so that'll reduce some background noise. Anyway,
Sure.
so they did say 25%. The M2 is over the M1.
Yep, 25%.
Okay.
And then I've got another number that I jotted down here in my notes. The M and so we'll sort of move on to this one. The M2 Ultra, because got to have another chip. You got the Ultra, okay.
Ultra.
This one here. Actually, it doesn't give me I didn't get the percentage of how much faster that is compared to the M1. I guess I was overshadowed by the 76 cores. Kind of remembered that.
M2.
I was like, that's...
So what's the core difference then, I guess?
Yeah, that was going to be my question, because I never looked much at the M2, not having a need for one,
Right,
But
right, exactly. And I think that's kind of the problem with these Macs, is there was such a massive leap from the last Intel to the first M1.
Yeah.
These are going to be underwhelming as we get, I'm not trying to say it's anything on Apple's fault. It's to Apple's credit that it is such a massive leap that now they're stuck with okay, let's squeeze more juice out of it.
Yeah.
But we squeezed all of it going to Apple Silicon. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's like reaching
I really want to... Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's like reaching the speed of light, right? The closer you get to it, and that's kind of where they're at with these chips. Yeah.
Right, right. So with the Mac... So we got a Mac Pro, which is crazy. I didn't think that was going to happen a lot.
That did surprise me. Yeah.
And... I mean, the question for me, and this is even more evident with switching to Apple Silicon, what is this thing for? Who needs... I don't understand the need for PCI expansion slots, and we're also losing extendable memory. I kind of thought they were going to add some sort of third layer of memory, right? So you have the memory built in on the chip, and then maybe you can install whatever memory onto it on top of it, and that's slower but still gives you more RAM. So it's all you have is these PCI slots, and it's I'm both asking that as a criticism of what this product is supposed to be for, but also at the same time asking sincerely, what is this who needs this kind of thing? Who needs this?
Yeah. And see, I got two takes on this from me. So first of all, I think the who is this for is, first of all, we have to exclude, that category of folks who will just buy the ultimate fastest whatever, right? Yeah, fine, go throw your money at it. That's great, And then I think we're really talking animation studios, right? Rendering farms, maybe. But here's the problem with that.
Maybe.
If that is the category, or even if that's just slightly touching on the right category, my problem here is, like you just said, if I'm getting a Mac Pro, right, or for that matter, even a PC or whatever, a tower-based machine, and I'm spending that much money, I would expect to be able to change out anything and everything whenever I wanted, except the CPU, right?
Right.
And because otherwise, why am I bothering to get a tower unit or a rack unit? But why am I bothering to do that if I cannot swap out things later on, and instead have to really look at it and say, well, I guess I got to go buy another one of these things with the newer XYZ, right? I know you could change out, well, you can't even change out the video cards, but you can add video cards.
You can add video cards.
Yeah, right. And things like that. I mean, that's like great, okay, but like you said, but the PCI expansion slots and that, it's like, I'm sorry, are we back in like the 90s with PCs where I'm going to get my new sound card this year? You know what I mean? Or the new network card or something? I don't know. It's weird.
And the Mac Studio, going back, like the Mac Studio is such a good deal for what you can get with it. Like it's $2,000 for a Mac Studio, and it's practically the same thing as the Mac Pro.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
Except no expansion slots. That's it. Like, that's really the difference. Name me another difference. I can't think of one.
Yeah,
and they even said like, oh, NBC uses this for SNL, and so uses it for this, and like, what studio? Like, why would you ever spend that kind of money on a Mac Pro? Like.
Yeah, and the kind of the funny things about
base price is $7K. Base price is $7K for a Mac Pro, and base price for a Mac Studio is $2K. That's a big difference.
Yeah, and
sorry.
No, it is. And the thing that makes me laugh is kind of that the Apple spin that they put on everything, right? I mean, whoever SNL or whatever uses it, okay, that's like saying someone that made a spaceship go to the moon did their taxis on an iPad. But they didn't, I mean, who cares?
They said NBC. They said NBC uses the studio. They never said anything about.
Oh, they didn't even mention
Mac Pro.
So there you go. Yeah,
like they honestly, I didn't time it, but they barely mentioned the Mac Pro all that much. Honestly,
I wonder if
whatever it was 4 years ago. Like, I feel like they made a big deal about the Mac Pro with the new redesign, and they had the Pro display and yada yada. This year, it was just like, here it is. We did it. We finished all the whole transition. Yeah. Are you happy?
That's what I was going to say. Maybe this was just so we could check that box, move it on, right? Yep. Because you're right. I mean, I think we even said, I know a lot of folks said, back when the original M chips came out, it was like, well, dang, these things are so good. Where are you going to go from here, right? And even now, and not to criticize the architecture because I think it's brilliant, but like with the Ultra, the M2 Ultra, and so on, they came up with this interface where essentially you can stick two together, and it's like, okay, is this the future here? We're just going to keep plugging in more and more of these things. Is that how we're going to do this?
A lot of the rumors were that they were going to do 4, right? It was going to be there was going to be an Ultra Duo or whatever they were going to call it, and it was just it's going to be 2 Ultras. So, the Ultras, 2 Maxes plugged together. Then there's going to be one where it's 2 Ultras plugged together, so it's 4 Maxes. And the cost of doing it was so not worth it to Apple based on their sales for the Mac Pro. They were just like, yeah, we're not doing this. And they didn't. They just put in Mac Ultra or M1 or M2 Ultra in this machine, which is the same as the Studio. So
I think, thinking back to last year, I think it was, anyone who knows me knows that I see the funny side on things. I think I sort of quit with the Mac Pro when they came out with being able to buy a super expensive trolley to put it on, to drag it, to pull it around the house. At that point, I'm like, all right,
yeah. The wheels.
Have we really?
Wheels,
have we really jumped the shark here? Because I feel like we have, So I'm with you. I think, if you want to go like top specs, Studio more than enough, and on the laptops at this point, pick any of them, right? But bang for buck, the Air still seems like the best sensible one. But I think, I guess, I hate to sort of help Apple marketing out here, but I guess the take on it is, at this point, you cannot make a wrong choice as far as, oh, I got the bad one, because I don't think there's a bad one.
I think you get the overpriced one.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Is I've got what I need, regardless whichever one I pick, and now it's just
the
bad
one. The bad one is the crappy Mac Pro that's not a Mac Pro. MacBook Pro that's not a MacBook Pro. That has a Touch Bar on it.
Yeah. Still got one of those laying around, and I didn't mind the Touch Bar, but I mean that's the weird one. Right?
Just spoiler alert: go into the developer app. There isn't a single talk on the Touch Bar. Just in case you're wondering. So, yeah, I think you kind of get the idea of where that's headed.
Yeah. Maybe if there was any talks, it would be how to remove that from your apps. Right.
Transition from Touch Bar to 3D scenes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. iOS. Okay, what was your favorite iOS 17 feature?
And I'm going to be upfront and say right now, I struggled. With all of the software this year, but I do have some favorites for each one.
Okay.
I think, for me, as someone who does paper, remember paper and pen? Anyone remember that? The journaling. So the journaling app interests me, but, obviously they've just Sherlocked day one, right? I mean, that's kind of what they've done there.
Sherlocked day one, and they Sherlocked, apparently there was an app called Bump. Did you see this?
No, I did not see this. No, Bump.
So we have AirDrop by Touch, right? And there was an app that Google had bought 10 years. This is an old app where you use your two mobile devices and touch them together.
Oh, yes. I remember.
Yeah.
How you can crack two screens at once by banging the phones together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So what about you then?
App. Me? Okay. Live voicemail. Very nice.
With transcription, right?
Right.
Yeah.
With the transcription. That's a big part of that.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about improvements to keyboard and autocorrect because they've been awful for a while.
Oh, you know me and on-screen keyboards. Never going to be happy,
Yeah, it's really annoying. So I'm looking forward to that. I think those are the two big ones. The ones I listed in the notes. So posters is cool. Live stickers is cool. I'm all into GIFs, so I'm really curious to do that. It's nice.
I was gonna say that's one for me. Yeah.
As a parent who's possibly going to be handing an iPhone to somebody who's in high school next year, that will be a really nice feature.
Absolutely.
Offline maps is cool. I think that could be really useful. So
I do too.
So to me, I think there's a lot of. I thought it was really nice features. I want to see how they actually are in real life. I have my one test device now with 17 on it. I want to. I don't want to see developer support for it and see if these actually come through in 17.0 because. It's not always the case with this stuff. So I thought seems like a solid set of no feature was not that I can think of, at least I didn't take a note on it, was this is stupid. They're all
agreed.
Cool. I'm glad they're focusing on FaceTime messages and phone, I guess. Because I think that's a big part of the iPhone is the phone part. So I'm glad they're
No, it's right.
That.
Yeah.
So
I do
we'll
feel
we'll get into widgets and live the more fun stuff in my part with the State of the Union, but yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to phrase it that, I actually feel that I got I'm hoping that I got what I wanted from iOS and iPad OS, in fact, which is that quality of life updates this year rather than some foo-foo feature that whatever, So
Right.
I'm hoping that, a lot of these things seem like small things on the surface. But I'm also hoping that as we get more into the sessions this year, there's a lot of those things under the hood that'll make us as developers go, great. You've streamlined this, you've made that better. And even if they just said we did a massive bug hunt, I'd still be very pleased with that. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Completely agreed. Yes.
Yeah. And there are some features, like you say, we'll talk about them in your session, because there are a couple of standout features. One in particular, there's a pun in there, for me, that, there's a sneak for everybody, that, I use on my watch, and I'm very happy to see it on the phone. Yeah. But let's talk iPad now, because I feel like the iPad didn't get anywhere near as much this year, but I think it also, it continues the path that we see it going down. Integration of things that the other platforms have. I was joking on my Discord with some folks earlier that when they said that they had vastly improved Stage Manager, I was hoping the follow-up line was going to be because we removed it. Because I still think...
See, I never used it, and it seems like it's been dead. Yeah,
I tried. I tried real hard, because at first I thought this is going to be a thing for me. Nah. All it turned out was you made all my windows a bit smaller. Why did I pay for this big screen?
Right. Yeah. Can we say the biggest feature with iPad this year?
Go
Craig
for it.
Federici demoed. Multiple
Go on.
timers. Multiple timers. We live in an age of wonders. I love that. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's 2023. We finally have multiple timers.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I actually will take great advantage of that, because they sort of Sherlocked me without even realizing it, because I was actually writing myself an app with multiple timers to track multiple projects.
Oh.
So it's like, great, that is another excuse for me to not finish that project. So thank you, Apple.
There's still a lot you can do, Peter. Go for it, please.
No, I feel, Craig's got my back.
I've done a timer. I think I've done a timer app like at least 3 or 4 times in my life. There's always something more you could do. Go for it.
Yeah, everybody should do at least 2, right?
Right. Exactly.
One to-do app and 2 timer apps, right? And maybe 1 stopwatch. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So a few years ago, we had a weed-based Mac OS version with High Sierra, and this year we have a Wino-based OS with Sonoma. Which has brought us to the 1990s, not only with VR, but this year with screensavers. So that's amazing. I'm so glad they mentioned screensavers. They didn't. They didn't say a lot with macOS 14. So they said the widget stuff. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah.
Unless I need to use this version, I'm not going to. So we'll see when I keep my progress.
You will, because they'll release some point version of Xcode that requires it, right? That's the way to get
eventually.
it.
But I'm saying, I'm not going to install the beta. Peter.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm not going to either.
Yeah,
nothing there for me. Yeah.
So what was I going to say? The web apps was interesting. I'm really curious about that. I've always played around with web app stuff. So, what was the tool? There was some tool where you can make an app out of any website.
There was a couple, actually.
That's not what I meant.
No. That's. Yeah. Let me look up. There's a couple that I've used over the years, and I think Setapp has one.
But I mean, that's good, really good that they're adding that, because I do think that's useful to a lot of people. If people aren't going to build that Mac app, then screw them. We're going to make it a Mac app.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So there was a big. So I'm really curious on your take on this.
Okay.
There's a big push on gaming.
Yes.
We had rumors about Kojima was going to show up, and he did, and it was under the Mac OS portion, which is not what we expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think of that?
So this was actually of great interest to me because as someone that at the beginning of the year, and it's sitting right next to me here, actually bought a gaming PC laptop because I was so fed up with just trying to get things to run, or performance on the Mac, however I did it, under Windows, under an emulator or whatever. And I had a PC, tower, but I decided, you know what, I want a dedicated gaming laptop, and it's got like an NVIDIA, whatever it is, 3070 something. It's fantastic. But my frustration is doing the day job with my Mac, evening time, switch over to the PC means pushing a bunch of buttons, unplugging a bunch of stuff. So I didn't want to have to mess with it. So when I heard the rumors, about, they're really focusing on gaming, I was like, okay, well, this will be interesting. And then as I'm watching the presentation, and first of all, I have to say, the game that they demonstrated, Death Stranding, I mean, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on a PC.
Okay.
So when they showed it on the Mac...
How old is that game?
I think it's only I know that I played it about 2 years ago when it hit the Xbox thing. So it can't be that old. So I was real, excited when they mentioned him. I was like, ooh, could it be? Because I just thought if there's anything that's going to make a Mac look phenomenal with gaming, it's going to be something exactly like that. Mm-hmm. Now, and also, funny enough, not mentioned in, at least I don't think it was mentioned in the talks today, presentations, but it was sort of mentioned around the web and everything else. No Man's Sky also came out on the Mac. Yeah. And in fact, I will say, earlier on, I got it, and because they dropped it from 60 to 30, and I was like, I'm getting it now. Here's the interesting thing, though, and this is sort of leading me to where I was going with this conversation. You can buy it on Steam to run it on Windows and Mac. It's not on the App Store. Now, which is weird, right? Because firstly, you would think it's hugely popular, and everyone had been talking about possibly that being a thing on the headset. If the headset turns up, we don't know.
That's where I thought it was headed.
Yeah. And so it was interesting that they didn't mention it. But I thought, great. So I downloaded it, put it on my Mac, and they were saying, turned up all the settings, but it defaults to high, not to ultra. But they said, you can run it with ultra and everything. But here's the thing. It immediately, at least on mine, the 14-inch M1, Max, whatever, the fans come on. And I'm like, you know what? How is this any better than my PC? Right? Because if I'm used to the fan noise of the PC and hating it. Well, yes, I can do it on my Mac, but it freaks me out every time my Mac is that hot for that long, which it will be when you play games. And my issue is it's never been a hardware problem for Apple with the gaming. It's that they can never convince the software houses to make the software. And I don't see that anything they said today makes that any different. I mean,
there's a lot of talks this year on migrating your app over. Like a lot of talks.
There is something
but I feel like, like you said, is it really a technical thing? Is somebody like...
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's more of a business thing. Yeah.
Yeah, why would AAA Gamehouse give 15%, 30%, really 15% to Apple? Why would they? Right? They've not done it so far. There's no incentive for them to do it now. They could, as has been proven.
What's the cut on Steam?
I was going to say, I'm not sure what the cut on Steam is. I would be curious. I'm going to guess somewhere between 15 and 30. Probably, maybe if I had to hazard a guess, maybe 20, something like that.
Yeah.
But here's the difference, right? With Steam, you got a massive base, right? It's not that hard to make your game compatible with Windows, Mac, Linux, right? I mean, you've got 3 right there. Now you've got the Steam console, right? And things like that. So that's what Apple's got to compete against. It's not a hardware problem. It's a convincing software houses to make stuff for their platform problem. Right. And they've never pulled it off so far. And I don't think any amount of hardware is going to make any difference. That's kind of my take on it. Yeah. But as long as the fans come on and my Mac gets hot and I'm playing a game for a couple of hours, no, it's going to freak me out. My PC's got ventilation and everything else. And also, what happened to the Apple TV being the gaming platform of the future?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so that's kind of my take on it, is great, but I don't think you've done anything to help yourself. However, there was something I caught in the State of the Union we will talk about later that I think is a huge deal. Yeah. I'll dangle that carrot now.
So we have about 15 minutes left. I don't think we're going to cover the rest in 15 minutes.
I don't think so.
Here's my thought. Thought. Let's just jump in and do State of the Union in 15 minutes. Let's kind of give it a breast. And then we'll just basically, when we get to the parts talking about the 2 remaining OSs that we didn't talk about, if you know what I mean, we can just plug that stuff into the platform part.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay?
Yeah, right, no, take it. Yeah.
Here, I'm doing that in the notes so you can see it live.
Yeah, thank you. He's doing it, folks. I promise you I can see it happening. Yeah. Which leaves us one more piece of hardware, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, one more piece of hardware.
Yeah, little thing,
There we go. And then I'm going to move that other hardware over here. Cool. Was there anything else? Did you want to talk about home audio and Apple TV?
No. Funny enough, on the other platforms, I don't think there was anything really that was like, that's, other than...
You're playing hotels.
Nice.
As somebody who frequents Airbnbs, but everybody just has cheapo Roku, so...
Uh-huh.
That's like... FaceTime on Apple TV, that's interesting that they brought in the continuity camera.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's clever.
Camera?
I have used it to take some things from my Mac. And I will say that, the idea of using it for the TV, well done, Apple. That's a clever one. You snuck it in there again, found a way to make someone buy 2 pieces of hardware to do it. Right. Well, and I don't mean that in a cynical way. I mean, well done. You figured out, there's no camera in the living room or the media room. How do we do that? So that works. But I've used it very little. I've tried it for some streaming, but again, it kind of freaks me out because the phone gets hot after a while, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah. This webcam here I'm using gets hot, so.
Oh yeah.
Oh well. Yeah.
Yeah, but you wouldn't feel so bad about losing a webcam compared to seeing your phone battery explode in the back, right?
Especially if it's your only phone, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But we know you, Leo. We know you've got more than one. You're like, I'll just get another one out the drawer.
See, that's it. I might cheap. Well, that was the other thing is, so it's kind of interesting what phones they're not going to support in 17. So we don't get we don't get the iPhone 8, so no 10 and under. So the classic
I think that's
iPhone
okay
10, though. Oh yeah, it's totally okay, and it's fine. But it's interesting, like how we're at the iPhone 10 is so old. Like I feel like it was such a new, amazing phone with full display and a notch. And now that's like, it's so old, it's not even, like, you can't even upgrade it anymore. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Well, something interesting happened to me the other day because I still have the 12 Pro Max. But what happened was I had one of those plans where you pay it off over time. Well, I finished paying for the phone. And interestingly, I saw an instant $100 drop in my phone bill. Now, initially, what I was going to do was like, okay, either go out, get the new one now, or wait till later in the year and get the new one, right? But I'm now so liking the fact that my overly expensive phone bill has dropped by $100 that it has me questioning whether I want to.
Right.
Yeah. Had I have not seen it, I wouldn't have thought twice about it and just bought another one. Right. Yeah.
I'm curious too, like how many more years until we no longer support Intel-based Macs. Like we're probably pretty
feels close, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. If I had to guess, like if it was me, maybe 2 more years before I started a real push.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because what's the incentive at this point, right? Other than the fact that there's lots of Intel Macs out there, but I don't know. Somehow upgrading a Mac or getting a new one never feels as painful as a phone. I don't know why that is. I think maybe it's purely the physical size of I've got a bigger box,
Right.
So I don't think it's much of an upsell to get people to switch over on their Macs,
Yeah. Yep. Anything else?
No, I think I don't know whether it's good or bad, but when I say this, but I feel like we covered all of the important things from sort of the keynote itself, excluding the obvious one, but
right.
Yeah. But that's kind of the thing, right? It was clear, I think, from the onset that we knew it's like Apple's going to shuffle through all the other things and get to the big thing, right? Or at one point I did worry, it's like, please tell me you've got the big thing at the end. Otherwise, this is going to be a hugely disappointing.
The one more thing.
Because if they didn't,
that's a lot. But wait a second.
Yeah.
What happened to that thing they were going to talk about? And then it's like,
yeah, exactly. But I think it's to sum it up, I think for me on the existing platforms, it's kind of a quality of life year. That's good. I think we need to have these kind of things every couple of years.
I hope nothing breaks. I hope it's not buggy.
Oh, that's my concern, right? It's like, please don't make it, don't fix one, break one,
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right. You want to do a wrap here and then switch?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're gonna wrap this here, and I also want to put out there and say thank you to the likes on YouTube. Appreciate that. This is always tough for Leo and I because we're so used to like, okay, now I'm going to edit the podcast and make it sound like we actually had studied this thing, and he's like,
You're right.
But yeah, so I'll do the wrap here for the podcast. All right, everybody.
Okay.
So this is part 1 of 2, right? This is talking about everything that happened in the keynote. I want to thank Leo for joining me again. It's always nice, as we jokingly but truthfully say, it's nice that Apple put this conference on every year so Leo and I can get together and talk about this. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Apple.
Yeah. Thank you, Apple.
Funny this
Yeah. So if when you get to the end of this one, there will be links in the show notes and everywhere else. You should switch up to see our State of the Union for all you hardcore developers out there, where we're gonna pull apart and look under the hood and find all the bits where they didn't clean out the dust, right? So we'll put the links in there, and we're gonna now tell you the story behind the marketing, right? Yeah,
the fun part.
All right. Yeah, so thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the live stream for this. Appreciate it. Do a like and a follow, and let us know what you think. Put in the show in the comments on that. What do you think were the good, or if there was any bad? Share it with us. We love to hear from the audience. And with that, we're going to switch over here. So we're going to be switching it up to a different link here that Leo is going to put out for us for the State of the Union. So thank you, everyone, and we will see you in part 2.